We don't have anybody on Zoom for the committee.
Oh, no? Okay, cool.
Not yet.
Okay, cool.
Not that I see. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting of the Ordinance Committee to order, it being Wednesday, December 11th at 6:30 PM. I'm joined by Councilors Rivera and Councilor Bartley. In the chamber, we also have Councilor Ocasio and Councilor Greenie.
Just mention this, he called out.
Councilor Rivera, who is the chair of this committee, has been excused for the evening as he has a conflict. And so I'm sitting in
So,
for
Madam
him.
Chair, I'll make a motion to remove agenda item 1 from the table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item 1, the minutes of the November 13th, 2024 meeting.
I'll
Do I have a motion?
make a motion to receive and approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Madam Chair, I'll do whatever you want me to do on to.
Well, our person is here for the public hearing.
Okay.
It's a pretty
I'll
straightforward
make a
one.
motion to remove agenda item 2 from the table and open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 2, public hearing, special permit extension application of 876 Grow Inc. at 360 Race Street to build and operate a marijuana cultivation and processing establishment. I see that we have somebody on Zoom from RHT Entertainment.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello, can you give us your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Dayton Blake, 80 Quincy Street, Springfield, Massachusetts.
Okay, so I understand that you're coming in because you weren't able to complete your work within the initial special permit period. So could you just run down a summary briefly of where you were at and where you're at now and what you're anticipating, please?
So I'm a step away from final inspection.
Okay,
I have all the required inspection passed already, so I'm one step away from a final inspection. So I would like for maybe another couple of months, 4, 5, 6 months
okay,
to finish.
all right. Is there anything else that you think the committee needs to understand? Was it a monetary matter that held you up?
It was monetary, and there was a lot of delays in like material and stuff.
I'm sorry, delays in, what was the last thing?
Material, and it was monetary.
Oh,
Most of it
okay.
was monetary.
Okay, all right. And those problems are resolved and you're good to go?
Those problems are resolved, and I'm good to go.
Okay, thank you. Is there any member of the public that is here for this public hearing that wishes to speak in favor or against the amendment to this special permit?
Madam Chair, hearing none, I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just under discussion, Madam Chair.
Yes, Counselor Bartley.
Yes, so I see what the applicant wrote, that the expectation is finishing within the next 6 months of today's date, which is 10/10/24, which he has here. So would it be the will of the committee to extend this 6 months, or would the committee feel more comfortable like with a 1-year extension, just so we don't have to, just in case his timetable's off a little bit?
So I guess my question would be, usually the special permit would run out, what, 2 years or 3 years?
Well, the initial is 2 years, and we do have the option for another. Is that your phone? Okay. We do have the option to extend it. I know.
Yeah,
I know
okay.
up to a year. I don't know if we can do it
Okay.
longer though. But
All right.
I would be
I'll
inclined to give him a year.
I'll go by the will of the committee. I'm comfortable with whatever the majority.
Well, is this Ward 1 or Ward 2?
Or 2
Ward 2.
is after Cabot Street.
Yeah. So Carmen,
So-
do you have any preference? Do you know this business? Just through the chair. No. Okay.
All right.
Mr. May I, Mr.?
Well, the other thing I just want to make sure is on the record that when we vote and recommend the extension, all conditions that were put on the initial special permit would continue on with the extension.
Oh, thank you, Madam. Yeah, that's a great point. So I know we closed the public hearing, but I can still ask questions of the petitioner, right? Can I? Or if I can't, that's okay. It's just rhetorical anyhow. But Mr. Blake, this is Councilor Bartley. I'm not going to ask you a question, but I'm going to ask you just to consider connecting with the Ward 2 councilor at some point, because it's always helpful when a new business such as yours locates in the city, especially one as interesting as your business, to sort of get an overview to the ward councilor. In this case, you've got the Ward 1 councilor to my left, Councilor Vera, and the Ward 2 councilor, Ms. Ocasio, to my right. So I would hope that you would give that courtesy. But that being said, I'll make a motion that we extend the special permit for 1 year from I guess next week's date, so from 1 year from December 17th, and that all conditions relative to this entity that were approved at the initial permit would still be in force and effect.
Is there a second?
Thank you so much.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll do a roll call just to be official. Counselor Bartley?
Yes.
Counselor Rivera?
Yes.
Counselor Bacon, yes. So 3-0. This will get recommended to the city council at our next meeting and wouldn't be effective until it is approved there, okay?
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in and good luck.
Madam Chair, I'd like to
Can we package 3 and
I'd like to suspend our rules and take items 3 and 4 together off the table, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 3, filed by Councilor Bacon, that consideration be made to adopt the changes available under the HERO Act for veteran property tax exemptions, whether to adopt Clause I or J or both clauses simultaneously. Item 4, that we add clauses 22, 22A, B, C, E, F, H of the HEROES Act to expand benefits for veterans. And we have Deb Brunel with us from our assessors, our head assessor, from the assessor's office. Thanks for coming. If you want to come on in, you can, or if you want to be at the mic, whatever you prefer. I appreciate you coming down. I had originally filed this order, but I wrote it in a way that it could be interpreted in a slightly confusing manner, and it ended up that the legal form was for the tax work-off. So I refiled because the initial goal was to expand the exemption for those veterans that have some degree of handicap, along with the state newly adopted law. So if you want to just provide us with a quick overview, I think the main question from the committee at the last meeting was the cost. And you had sent out a sheet. So if
I have it, if you need another
we
one.
have it in our
Which one's that one,
packet
Debbie?
here.
It was a separate email I sent you.
This one from recent?
Yes.
Yes, that's it.
Yes.
The
we-
chart.
Yeah, Jeff provided to us.
Yeah, okay.
Right. So
Right.
the question that was asked, and I guess at the moment I was the only one that had it, was what would the cost effect be if we did what my original order was, which was to double the exemption, which I believe is 22J. And so if you could go over the chart with us and the
Sure.
implications, that would be great.
Yeah. First off, this HERO Act was adopted in August of '24. And one of the clauses that affects the cities is expanding veteran property tax exemptions by either the COLA, which is the cost of living raise, or doubling the exemption, or doing both. The information I provided to you provided all of the clauses that we currently have veterans qualifying for. Part 2 of your request, we don't need to adopt because we already have those exemptions.
Okay.
Not everybody qualifies for all of them. Like, we don't have anybody in 22C anymore.
Okay.
But if somebody were to qualify for that, they would certainly
Receive it.
be able to get that.
Okay, well, that's easy. Then we can just say
Right.
that's complied.
Right, so the information I gave you let you know what clauses we currently have, what the exemption amount is now, what it would be if it doubled, what it would be if we just did the COLA or if we did both. And I let you know what we are reimbursed from the state, because the state reimburses us on veterans exemptions. Not the full amount, but a portion of it.
Okay.
So I told you what the state amount was for each one we get.
Okay.
And that state reimbursement won't increase because we provide more monetary award for them. We're set at those amounts.
So for us to double the exemption then would not put a big hit on the city
No,
taxes at all?
it's coming from the city. Currently, our total is 50,500 for the 22E. We have a full exemption. That would not double.
Okay,
Those that qualify for full exemption, there's only 5.
okay.
That would not double.
So
So
that
what
would
would,
stay, the
right.
50,000 would remain 50,000.
no, 22E would double to 100.
I'm sorry.
It would
Which
double
one would
from,
remain the same? I lost.
what would remain the same is 22D, the full exemption.
Oh, gotcha.
Clause 22E is currently $1,000. It would double to 2,000.
Okay,
So right now, our current total is 50,500.
okay.
If you adopted to double that, it would be $101,000.
And would the reimbursement also increase?
No, reimbursement does not increase.
Okay.
We still get the same reimbursement from the state on those, even though we
Okay.
increase that. So that, we would be taking on more of a burden,
In that
but it is for a very good cause.
Absolutely. Okay,
22 is where we have most of our exemptions. That exemption is $400. So that would double or double plus the COLA. And currently, it is 32,800. And we only have 122A, and that would double.
so we would
And that's up to the
adding
council.
about $90,000 to the tax. 50?
No,
No, more, well, you're not.
double
50.
22A, and
Right, so
22E.
50.
Add those up right now and
32, 50,
times 2.
82, and the 750, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, when I originally filed the order, I filed it with the intention of doubling the exemption, and I wasn't aware of that you could do 2 things or another thing. And so,
Right.
for my part, and what the constituents that reached out to me, that caused me to file the order for, they were seeking the doubling of the exemption, which to me is the most straightforward thing to implement, instead of having to figure out what is the CPI, calculating all that, and then, you know.
With the cost of living raise, the COLA, it makes it a little more difficult,
Yeah.
because that has to be calculated every single year and added on, and we have to be aware of them going over. They have to pay 10% of their tax bill,
Yeah,
so we have to adjust that and factor that in.
yeah,
And the COLA is a very negligible amount.
yeah. So
Selecting to double it would be the best option.
I'll entertain questions from the committee before I continue on. Council Bartley?
Yeah, through the chair. Debbie, this is a very helpful form. I just want to ask you a few questions for procedure.
Sure.
So I want to look at item 3, agenda item 3, whether to adopt clause 1 or clause J.
I or J, right?
I'm sorry, I or J?
Yep.
Okay, so I is for what and J is for what?
I is just to increase the exemption by the COLA amount, the cost of living,
Got it.
which is at 3.5%,
And J is for what?
to double the exemption.
All right, so I just want to get that on the record. So that's what I thought it was, but I just want to make sure. And it's your experience that the COLA, it says it's not really going to change much as an extra administrative burden. Your recommendation would be to consider doubling the exemption and leave the COLA as is. Is that true?
Well, you could do either. It is up to you
okay,
what you
okay.
all decide to do.
I hear you.
I am definitely in favor, if you're going to do one of them, do the double.
Yeah, no, you'd be a tremendous politician, let me tell you. Let me just look at this a little more closely. So when we're voting for 20, so clause J would be for that one, for item 3. And
22J.
I'm sorry, 22, well, you know what I meant.
I do.
Okay, and then for, under agenda item 4, we would be approving clause, 22, 22A and 22E? Is that true?
No,
No, all right.
you just have to adopt.
We just have
For
to,
veterans exemptions, you have to adopt I or J.
oh, okay, and then what
It will
about,
cover all veterans exceptions except D is a full exemption already, so you
okay.
can't double it for more than they owe in tax.
okay, so I just for procedure, I guess what I'm saying is, item 3 we can vote on, I, J, or both.
Right.
And then for item 4, that's already covered by what we vote on item 3.
Right, well, you don't have to adopt those clauses
You don't
separately.
have to adopt them separately.
We already
Okay.
have them.
Because
Okay,
we
okay.
already
Got it.
offer
Okay.
all of those
No, I just
exemptions.
want to make the right motion, so that'd be complied with, yes, so I get it. Okay, and, because the bottom line's the bottom line, so what you're saying is, under that last column, current total, you're saying that's 32.8 right now, you're saying we should expect that to be 32.8 times 2? Mm-hmm. Okay, and is that true for 22A?
Yes,
And that's true for 22E?
yes,
Okay, all right, so now we can do the math,
right.
right? Oh, okay, so,
89.
okay, all right, that's all I have for questions.
Does anybody else have any questions? Anybody on Zoom, not seeing anybody?
So, Madam Chair, I'll make a motion under item 3 that we recommend adoption of clause J.
22J, we have to say?
Ah, God, 22J, well, you
Do we
know
have
what
to
I mean.
say 22, just to be precise?
Well, the order says clause I or clause J.
Yeah, because
so-
all of these are clause 22. Clause
Okay.
22 is veterans exemptions.
Okay.
Okay.
So
They
I'm gonna
just,
say
they just differentiate them by the A through,
I just didn't want to get
H.
caught up on a
Right.
technicality.
I'm going to say that, the motion is
Yeah.
to recommend adoption of clause J.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
For agenda item 4, Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that the order's been complied with.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Okay.
Okay, we good?
Thanks for coming down, and that wasn't too painful, was it?
No, it wasn't at all. Thank you for taking me before your other items.
Well, thank
I
you for
appreciate it.
coming in, we appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Don't get used to it, Debbie.
And have a Merry Christmas.
All right, yeah, all right, goodbye. Okay,
Bye.
public hearing. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to take item 5 off the table.
Oh, wait, I see Patty Devine's here now.
Oh, hi, Counselor Devine.
Patty, I'm sorry, I just saw you. Did you just get here?
No, I've been there, excuse me, I've been there, no problem.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem. I just was reading a little bit ahead, so I don't know if you're gonna take up item 10 at all.
Oh,
But if you do, I just have some information on that. So I don't have to tell you now, but if you would do that, just so I can give you some information that
We
I
will.
found out that is just incredible.
Oh, okay.
well, it's not intended to, but it doesn't mean that we can't.
Okay,
so-
I'll make a motion to remove from the table for purpose of discussion, agenda item 10.
Okay.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so now we do have it on our agenda.
Again, thank you so much. The only reason I brought it up, because I know that Counselor Ocasio does have some problems with the handicap signs in her ward and things like that. Well, believe it or not, somebody told me the other day that you can order all different kinds of signs on, what's the name of that place? Jeff Bezos owns it.
Amazon.
Amazon?
Amazon. So I said, no way, there's no way. Well, I will show you the handicap sign that I ordered on Amazon for $9.29, and it's gonna be delivered tomorrow. So I have a big problem, something's wrong there. I don't know if we can ever straighten it out, if it's free, you know, if people have a right to sell whatever they want to sell. But it certainly bothers me that I could do it that easily, and that's all I want to say on item 10. And maybe in the future, we could talk to Congressman Neal or something, but it just, I couldn't believe, and there's a whole bunch of them. There's some with pictures of wheelchairs that are much more expensive, but this was $9.29, and I'll bring it in and show it to you when I get it.
Okay, we hear you,
Thank
and
you for-
thanks for bringing that forth.
Well, thank you for taking it up, I appreciate it.
Okay. So now can we have a motion to table?
I'll motion that we lay number 10 back on the table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
I'll make a motion, Madam Chair, that we remove agenda item 5 from the table and reopen the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so the public hearing was an order filed by Counselor Greenie, ordered that no group homes, profit or nonprofit, be allowed within the city limits of Holyoke, Mass. Without the approval of the Holyoke City Council. This was continued from November 13th. We did have feedback from our law department relative to this in the last public hearing, but Counselor Greenie couldn't attend, and so consideration was given, and we kept it open so that Counselor Greenie could be here and we could have a little further discussion and explanation relative to the group homes. Counselor Greenie, do you have a comment or question you'd like to put forth to the
Yeah,
law
quickly,
department?
I'm not fully aware of what the legal issues are, but I'm assuming that it has to do with property rights of individuals. Certainly, certain individuals have property rights to do what they want with their property, whom they sell it to, et cetera, and the cost of such residential properties. So I don't know what the legal ramifications are whether that we can get involved. Secondly, this was a constituent request. It's coming from more than one constituent in more than one ward. And, people are concerned about the number of group homes coming into the city. My second concern is, of course, tax exemptions. A lot of these properties are not paying taxes, and I understand that the mayor's office is working on this issue. I'm not sure how far that they can go on the tax issue, but once again, a lot of these group homes that come in, if they're nonprofits, they're not paying taxes, and these residential properties are being taken off the tax rolls, and I'm concerned about that. The third issue is the possibility that if the legality is in question, can the city council issue special permits, or could we have an ordinance that there be a special permit to allow these group homes to come in so that at least the public would know when and where they're coming in, and the city council would have firsthand information about what's happening in our city with these residential properties. So that's where I stand on this issue. I don't have all the information. I need the legal issues and all these different things, the tax issues. But certainly, I know we have at least 20 group homes now that were former residences that are not on the tax rolls at this time. So I'm concerned about that, and many residents are too. So that's where I stand.
Okay. Thank you, Counselor. So Attorney Bissonette or Attorney Degnan, I see you both on the Zoom. Is one or both of you able to address the concerns of Counselor Greenie? And then could I also add into the mix, would the city council have the ability and the legal authority to at least have a special permit process where the entity purchasing a home for the purpose of a group home would need to come in and document that they are meeting the as of right purpose, as a nonprofit, and that it is educational? Remember, we have had that ongoing lawsuit about that it was medical rather than educational. And if you can answer that, that would be just a little tangent to what Counselor Greenie is looking for. Thank you.
Good evening. I think the case you're referring to is 11 Yale Street,
Right.
where a rather large residence was converted into a group home against the wishes of the neighbors, which led to a lawsuit in land court, which the neighbors then lost. The reason why is laid out in Chapter 40A of the zoning laws, and it provides some exemptions for things like group homes in residential settings, and prevents local communities from really blocking any of these agencies that come into your community from getting a permit. So that's basically the legal setting. I'm thinking about whether or not, given the need to comply with the other regulations, regulations that involve code enforcement, electrical permits, a number of bathroom facilities, that sort of thing, should be required in a checklist. And I don't see why that couldn't be reported by building upon inspections to the city council. So that may be a legal way at this, at least on the notification question.
Well, I think even, I won't speak for Counselor Greenie, and I'll recognize you in a second, but I think at least it would eliminate the surprise factor that keeps happening in neighborhoods, which might be a positive. But Counselor Greenie?
Yeah, quickly, we have you, Attorney Bissonnette. There is an ordinance, I believe, and I don't know the number, what it is, apparently in the city that deals with boarding houses. And certain residences can become boarding houses if they have more than 3 residents, I believe. So if you have a residence, that's not a group home, but is a boarding house, basically, what's the difference, between the boarding house issue where there is a residence that was built for a 2-family or a 3-family home with a number of people who can actually be residents in there, because this is an ordinance that has been in existence for since heck was a pup, And I know you understand that language, Counselor.
Yes. Boarding houses are interesting because they're sort of neither fish nor fowl. They fall in between because they are almost hotels or motels in that sense of renting out space for residential purposes beyond the 3-deckers that we've all come to know and love in some of our residential neighborhoods. So there's that sort of designation for a for-profit doing nothing else but renting space to become a boarding house. This is a little different under the law, so if they have a purpose that is exempt from scrutiny, then they're allowed as a matter of right under 40A. But doesn't mean we can't hold them, cities can't hold them to the same standards and accountability. And I'm sure we've all noticed the crackdown in code enforcement lately, so I think it's fair to say that those units are some of the most closely inspected and scrutinized in the city.
Just briefly, from what I understand, a single residence, if it has 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms, the owner of that residence can actually rent out each of those bedrooms as long as it's 3 or fewer people that are in there. But if they have the 4th person that's paying rent, then it becomes a boarding house. Is that true?
You don't know. That's a good question for that. That's a good example to see where the line is. I know it's unrelated people, but I'm not sure if the 3, 4 is the number that triggers it.
Well, from,
And then
once
how
again,
many before it becomes a hotel or a motel?
exactly, well, that's an issue, you know, but once again, these residences are all paying taxes, they're on the taxpayer roll, so I know there's differences, but I think we need to find out, you know, some more information anyways on my order and see what happens. Thank you.
So Attorney Bissonette, relative to the group homes, I know the use for the educational purpose in the group homes is as of right. Is there anything in the state law that, say, in a community like ours, which is like 38,000 people, and if we have 20 or 30 or 40 of them, and in another community of 60,000, they have 20, is there any rationale for balance or intensity or density of these contemplated in the state law, or is it just a blanket law?
Pretty much a blanket exemption. The consequences of such an overload of nonprofits and non-tax-paying entities into a city like Holyoke has never been truly reflected in the reimbursements that come back from the state, whether it be through what used to be called the lottery and is now general government assistance, or through the Chapter 70 or Chapter 90 programs. But certainly communities, urban communities bear a far more share of dealing with the nonprofits and some of the issues they bring and they attract than most communities.
So do we have any ability, if we can't have a role of approval, we could have potentially a role of being informed of compliance, if I understood you properly earlier?
Yes, with regard to the licenses that are required for anyone, the permits and licenses, those are issued by the city, and the department should be instructed, DPW and Building and Health, that when they get requests for inspections or notified of these facilities, they should notify the council or the council's AA, and at least you don't get surprised by your constituents that way.
So would we need to create an ordinance to cause that to happen?
Let me look at that, Counselor.
Okay.
I believe so. We may be able to add it on to an existing ordinance.
Okay, that would at least be a bit of help. So if we're talking to our delegation, then, and looking for any kind of action at the state level, we would at least have a little more data to talk about, right? All right. Any, Counselor Barton?
Yeah, I think that was an excellent discussion. So I'll thank Counselor Bacon, Counselor Greenie, Ms. Attorney Bissonette for that. So, and I took a lot of notes, Mike, and so to me, this discussion is a lot more involved than just this straight-ahead hammer of a letter from the planning board dated September 26, 24, that, we talked about it, give leave to withdraw. It's, there's a lot more nuance here to discuss, so I'm likely going to motion to continue this public hearing. But before I do that, I'd want to, A, alert you to that, B, tell you that I'd like to get, as Councilor Bacon said, an understanding of the vehicle by which the city council could be informed relative to the various checklists that you propose. I very much like that idea. So you said you would get back to us. The other part that Councilor Greenie raised with the boarding house. Now, I look at this September 26th letter, I see nothing about a boarding house. I just see them dropping a hammer right on Councilor Greenie's head. And I mean, so, it's allowed by 40A and that's it. Well, Councilor Greenie added quite a wrinkle here that the planning board ought to have considered. And I would like for you to consider that, Mike. Would that be something you'd be willing to do? To consider, the dynamic between, what is the boarding house ordinance look like? How is that comparable to a group home? Should the boarding house ordinance remain in force and effect? So is that something that you would want to dive into a little bit?
Sure, I can look at that as part of this order.
Yeah, so that's great, Mike. I appreciate you. So without kind of making a big to-do about it through filing orders and all that, we could just say that we discussed it here in committee. Jeff will take the minutes, and that we don't need anything official. We talked about it, and that'd be great. So I guess I'm of the opinion that we ought to continue this to a date certain. The only problem is, I don't know when the next.
Hang on,
Oh, okay. You got the schedule?
I might.
Oh boy, isn't Linda good? So I mean, I would just kick it down two meetings, so Mike doesn't have to be like overwhelmed in January or
Wondering
whatever.
if we have January from Izzy yet.
Maybe Jeff could advise us on when the next meetings are. Jeff?
Jeffrey, did Izzy call a meeting for the 8th of January?
So we haven't officially put something on the calendar, but it's generally been the second and fourth Wednesdays.
So if we go by that, we would be going to January 8th, unless Attorney Bissonnette, maybe you'd prefer we go to
That's
the
tough.
22nd
Yeah,
to give a little more time?
the 8th is kind of tight.
Yeah. Okay,
So I'll make a motion to lay this on the table and then continue the public hearing to the 22nd of January at 6:30 PM.
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Attorney Bissonnette. We look forward to the information and at least increasing the communication flow. That would be of some help, I think, for the public too. Thank you so much.
Madam Chair, I'll make a
Yeah.
motion.
Oh, wait. I have to check with the public. I don't see anybody,
Oh, I'm sorry.
but,
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're right.
are
So-
there any members of the public that are here to speak on this, in this public hearing relative to group homes? Not seeing
On the
any.
motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the public hearing is continued to January 22nd at 6:30.
I'll make a motion, Madam Chair, to remove item 6 from the table, please.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 6, filed by Counselor Greenie, ordered that DPW install a 15-minute parking sign in front of the Stop and Go Variety Store at the corner of Hillside Avenue and Cherry Street. Counselor Greenie?
Yeah, quickly, the proprietor of that store at Cherry Hill and or Westfield, or Cherry Hill and Hillside Avenue has been having some problems with people are using the parking space in front of his store, and people who are coming in to do business in the store are not being able to park, buy their goods, et cetera. So he reached out to me to see if he could get a 15-minute parking sign in front of the store so that there wouldn't be long-term parking in front of his store and business could go on as usual. And I think it would probably be a good idea because he's a businessman in Holyoke, and we want to do as much as we can to help the businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we've done this for some others, but what I can't remember is, Attorney Bissonnette or Dagnan, do we need an ordinance to create this
Yes.
15-minute parking?
Absolutely.
Okay, so what is the will of the?
Well,
Yes.
yeah, no
Thank you.
question. So my suggestion, because I'm intimately familiar with this, would be to send this, I want to lay this on the table for now, but I want to send it to the city engineer to get measurements for one space. So right now you can park in 2 or 3 spaces there in front of the store, which used to be I's Variety. I guess it's Stop and Go now, but so the motion would be to create one 15-minute parking space. So you got to be a little
Yeah.
judicious when you take that corner going down Cherry Hill, taking the right onto Hillside, Madam Chair. Because it's a little tight when it's parking there. So I'd want the parking space to be not the first slot, but the slot closest to the to the driveway for the abutter. I don't see street numbers in the order, so I can't really describe but there is a private driveway. So you take the right-hand turn, you see I variety, then there's a private driveway for the house that's the abutter. So I'd want the parking space and the 15-minute sign to be as close to that as possible.
To the driveway of the abutter.
Correct, yeah. And that makes everybody happy, gives this guy the one 15-minute, and it'll have to be 7 days, because he's open 7 days.
Okay.
So it'll be 15-minute, and, maybe probably during regular business hours, would be my suggestion. So one 15-minute parking space between the hours of, 8 AM and 8 PM daily.
Counselor Bartley?
Are those,
Or Counselor
Counselor
Bacon?
Greenie?
It's not the driveway that Counselor Bartley's talking about is not the abutter. That driveway belongs to the Stop and Go.
Oh.
It used to be the Koshin Cleaners, then there used to be a drugstore there, and there is a little driveway that's part of that property.
Oh, well, even better then. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let me just,
So closest to the driveway of the Stop and Go.
yeah, I can see it now. So it's right here, yeah.
Okay.
There's the butter, right, they're side by each driveways.
Okay.
Okay, so it's, my
All right.
bad, but,
no, it's a good point.
yeah, but right here. So as far as it can, as close to this driveway right here, Linda.
To his driveway.
Yeah, so
to
this
the
is
owner's
the
driveway.
owner's driveway, and here's the curb
Yeah.
curb cut. So as close to the curb cut,
For the Stop and Go.
yeah, as
drive.
close to the curb cut given to the Stop and Go.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be, so it'd be one 15-minute parking space for regular business hours. We'll have to figure out what they are. for
Sunday through,
7 days, yeah.
Counselor Greenie, do we know the days of operation or the hours of
I
operation?
know he's open 7 days a week. I don't know what the hours are.
Yeah, gotta get the hours, so that would help us define the order. So, just save that for the next meeting. But somebody's gotta draw the map for us, and that's the city engineer, and then get back to us.
Okay, so tonight, we can ask Jeffrey to send it over to the engineer to get the measurements so that we can have them at the next meeting and then hopefully move it to council.
Fine,
Okay?
yes.
Okay, so
Any other questions or concerns?
I'll motion to table this pending that referral, of course.
And getting the information back from the engineer.
Second?
So, Jenny made the motion, I'll second it, yeah, so moved, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so that is tabled for information back from the engineer.
Yeah.
Thank you, Attorney Bissonnette.
And I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye,
So we get an A for efficiency.
yeah.
Thanks, good night, everybody.
Yep.
Thank you, good night.